Hello artists! Today you're going to learn how to use a calligraphy pen in order to do a little bit of calligraphy, only it's not going to be in English. So every table is going to have a tray, and we will have 2 bottles of India ink. You don't want to get this on your clothes, so highly likely will not come out. It will come off your hands, it will come off the table as long as you clean it right away. All right, these are handles for your pen, and these little things would be your nibs. That's what they're called. They are different sizes, they have different jobs. So the teeny tiny one is for very small things. It's good for drawing thin lines, and this one is how you would make your lettering and how you make wider lines. So first of all, installation of the nibs. This round end is the part that goes in the handle. Do not stick this end in the handle or this end. You will break it. So the round part goes here. See, there's a gap in the handle. One side's bigger than the other. Take it and we put it in the gap and push gently. I'm grabbing the top and the bottom and pushing. We're not shoving from the end. If you're having trouble, see me and I will help you out. So now the nib is secure in your handle. Then we're sharing these ink bottles with your partner. So we twist off the cap. If there's ink inside, you can always just squeeze it out. Some of them have eyedroppers where you can squeeze. Anything related to this project that's messy stays on the tray when it is not in use. Okay. As for the ink, we only need to get ink on this part of the nib. It doesn't need to go all the way up. Definitely does not need to be touching the handle at all. Just down here. That is all. And when we put ink on here, the idea is it's drawn up. If you look closely, it's drawn up through these little gaps in the pen. And that's what holds the ink, keeps it secure. Also, this top piece helps draw ink up as well. That's why it doesn't need to go high. It doesn't need to go past this tip. So take it and gently dip in. Got ink on just the end. So I'm going to show you on a practice page how some of this works. I press down and pull, and that gives me a wide line. I can also make thin lines with this one if you go sideways. So if I move it horizontally, it gets a skinny line. If I go vertically, it gives me a wider line. Now, when you're drawing, if you are pushing so hard that you can see those gaps, that is a bad thing. And it's technically breaking the pen. We don't want that. It shouldn't be making 3 separate lines. It makes 1 solid line. When it's time to write your name in Chinese, if technology is on our side, then I will have a website in Google Classroom for you to get into, and it says my Chinese name, and origin needs to stay English. You put in if it's female or male, because it does matter with how the letters or how the characters turn out. Okay, your name will go here. So I've got my name there, and down here these are just different fonts. You probably want to stick with this third one from the left because that's closest to what will work with our calligraphy pens. So now we hit get my Chinese name. Now, while my first name does have 5 letters, it doesn't have 5 sounds. That's why we see 4 characters here instead of 5, because your name might have less sounds than it does letters in English. Right? If technology is not on our side, I have a handout that gives you different letters and different sounds. Note that there's 2 different symbols on each one. So there's different types of characters in Chinese. Unfortunately, the harder one, the one on the bottom, is the one that's correct. Now, if it's too hard to see, then you could use the one on the top. And remember, when you're putting this in, this long part, that is the top. The part that curves down, that is the bottom, and the ink only goes up on this little tip here. It doesn't go past where it flares out, so we just dip it in. Make sure you give yourself room. And since it starts, it's top to bottom, and it also goes right to left when you're making your characters. it's not working, you probably need a little more ink. When you're making your word, we want to save 2/3 of this for the artwork. So do not make it take up the entire side of the page.